So here are the answer key to the quiz 201. Before you try to answer this quiz, make sure that you are familiar with the formula for the potential energy and the kinetic energy. That is, the potential energy is equal to mass times the gravitational acceleration times the height. Okay? Again, mass is m, g is a constant value which is 9.8 meters per second squared, and h is your height, okay, in meter. Okay, this will be in kilogram, this will be in meter. Also, don't also forget the formula for kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is equal to 1/2 mv squared, where m is the mass and v is the velocity. Mass is in kilogram, velocity is in meters per second. When you manipulate this formula for kinetic energy, you should be able to get the formula for v, the velocity. That is, v is equal to the square root of 2 times ke divided by m. Here's our problem number 1. Find the total mechanical energy of this system. Box your final answer. At point A, the skier is at the highest position and it is not yet moving. So that tells us the potential energy of the skier is at maximum at this point. And since it is not yet moving, the kinetic energy at this point is 0. So that means the total energy of this system, remember that due to the conservation of mechanical energy, the total energy in a system is always constant. That is, the total energy is equal to the potential energy plus the kinetic energy. So since in this particular position the kinetic energy is 0, so at that point the total energy is all potential energy. So we just need to find the potential energy of the skier at this position to find the total mechanical energy. Remember that PE is equal to mgh and our mass is 55 kilogram. It is stated in the problem. G is a constant, that's 9.8, and the height is 120 meters. The mass is here, the height is here. When we plug this in our calculator, we will get the value 64,680 joules. That tells us that the total mechanical energy is equal to that value, 64,680 joules. So that is the total mechanical energy of the system. Due to the law of conservation of energy, this total will be constant throughout the problems. Okay. In number 2, we're looking for the kinetic energy of the skier at position B. Now, the total mechanical energy is equal to the kinetic energy plus the potential energy. We can find the potential energy of the skier at position B because we know the height. At position B, the height is the same as the height at position D, which is 80 meters. So we can compute for the potential energy. Potential energy is mgh, that is 55 times 9.8 times 80. So the value that we will get here is 43,120 joules. Okay? Now, since the potential energy is 43,120 joules, to find the kinetic energy, we should just subtract the total mechanical energy, okay, minus the potential energy. So the total mechanical energy is 64,680 minus potential energy, which is 43,120. We get 21,560 joules. So the kinetic energy of the skier at this point is 21,560 joules. Problem number 3 asks for the velocity of the skier at position D. Now remember, since the skier has the same potential energy at position B and at position D, okay, they should have the same kinetic energy at this position as well. We already found the kinetic energy of the skier at position B. It turns out to be 21,560 joules. So we can use this value to solve for the velocity. Remember that the velocity is given as the square root of 2 times Ke divided by m. So we plug in this value for the velocity. So we have the square root of 2 times 21,560 divided by the mass, which is 55. So we can use a calculator to find the value of this velocity. So we have 2 times 21,560 divided by the mass, which is 55. We'll get 28. So the velocity of the skier at this point is 28.00 meters per second. Last problem. What is the velocity of the skier at position C? So we do not know the potential energy of the skier at position C. So we need to find the potential energy first, then use that value to find the kinetic energy. So the potential energy at point C is equal to mgh. That's 55 times 9.8 times the height, which is 40. So the value that we will get here is 43,120 joules. So that's your potential energy. No, I'm sorry. The potential energy here is 21,560 joules. So our kinetic energy now will be the total energy 64,680 minus that potential energy, which is 21,560. So we get the kinetic energy 43,000 43,120 joules. Again, we can use this value to find the velocity. The velocity is 2 times Ke divided by m, which is equal to square root of 2 times 43,120 divided by 55. We'll calculate it in our calculator. Square root of 2 times 43,120 divided by 55, and we will get 39.6 meters per second. So the velocity is 39.60 meters per second. So that's it.